Hey there, and welcome. We're going to jump right in and break down some key terms related to disability. The goal here is pretty simple. Cut through the confusion, demystify the language, and just build a solid foundation of understanding. So, let's get right to it.
So let's start with a really important question. I want to put this out there because, this isn't just a list of definitions we're going through. It's really about gaining perspective, right? It's about building a little more empathy and becoming more aware of the world around us. All right, so here's the game plan. First, we'll talk about our main goal here. Then we're going to walk through four big categories: challenges with movement, how people perceive the world, different ways of learning, and finally, how we connect with others. It's a nice, simple path to follow along. Okay, let's officially kick things off. This first section is all about setting the stage, just making sure we're all on the same page about what we're doing here. And there it is. Our goal is simple. We're not getting bogged down in complicated jargon or doing deep medical dives. Nope. The whole point of this is to keep it simple and clear. We're just trying to build a really straightforward foundation, one basic idea at a time. All right, diving into our first category, we're going to start by looking at conditions that affect a person's physical mobility, so challenges with movement. Okay, first up, we have the term locomotor disability. Now, the best way to think about this is like a big umbrella. It's a super general term that just means a person has some difficulty with movement. It doesn't get into the nitty-gritty of how or why, just that the challenge is there. So under that big umbrella, things start to get more specific, and this is where it gets really interesting. There are a bunch of different conditions that fit here. To make it super clear, we're going to look at two specific examples: cerebral palsy and muscular dystrophy. Let's start with cerebral palsy. The key word to lock onto here is control. This condition is all about a problem with controlling movement. Think of it as an issue with the signals that go from the brain to the muscles. And that's a perfect setup for our next one, muscular dystrophy, because it shows the difference so clearly. With this one, the main thing is weak muscles. So, see? Both are about difficulty with movement, but one is about control and the other is about muscle strength. Simple definitions, but they make a world of difference in understanding. Okay, let's switch gears a bit. We've talked about movement. Now let's talk about how we perceive the world, through our senses. This next part is all about differences in sensory experiences. Sometimes the simplest definitions are the best. For visual impairment, it means someone can't see properly. And for hearing impairment, it means they can't hear properly. Super straightforward, right? They just get right to the heart of what the experience is. Okay, so we've covered the body and the senses. Now let's move on to the mind. We're going to look at the different ways people learn and process information. And this is a big one, an area where having clear definitions is absolutely crucial. Pay close attention here, because this is a really important distinction that a lot of people get mixed up. On one hand, you have intellectual disability, which is about a generally slower pace of learning, kind of across the board. But then you have a learning disability, which is a specific challenge, maybe with reading or writing or math. Someone could be brilliant in other areas, but struggle with that one thing. So remember, one is general, the other is specific. That's the big takeaway. All right, for our last main section, let's talk about something we all do every day: connecting with others. We're going to explore some of the differences in how people communicate and interact in social situations. And that brings us to autism. Our source keeps it simple, defining it as difficulty in two main areas: communication and social behavior. Now, of course, it's a huge spectrum with a wide range of experiences, but this simple definition gives us a really solid place to start from. Okay, so let's do a quick recap of everything we just covered. From movement, we saw it can be about muscle strength or control. For the senses, it can be about seeing or hearing. With learning, the big difference is general versus specific. And finally, for social stuff, it can involve challenges with communication. 4 categories, 4 simple but powerful ideas. So let's circle all the way back to the beginning, back to a question. Now that we have these simple, clear ideas, how does a little bit of understanding change everything? How does it change how we see each other, how we interact, and how we can work together to build a more inclusive world? It's really something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me for this.